Okay, so let's see. First thing I gotta do, and I know you can't see all this, but I gotta run this and see if I can't put it in the screen where it's gonna be seen. And I'm gonna have to do some screen adjusting after I launch this. Let me pull this Oculus tray tool. I run this every time to do some stuff, mainly the super sampling. I turn it to 1.4. Sorry if the audio sounds weird. It's picking me up on that other camera. Hopefully it sounds better. Super sampling, I set to 1.4. I've heard people say 1.5 works fine with some of the settings I'm using. I'm using 1.4 because I don't want to stress my system. And then this default ASW mode, I have it set to 45 hertz. There's a 45 hertz force that turns on the ASW mode. I don't want the ASW mode on. I just want the 45 hertz. I'm not exactly sure what that does, but that's how I set it up. I've already have the headset is linked through the system. Oh, let me check this real quick. Devices. There's supposed to be okay, yeah, I have the refresh rate. I have it set at 72. That's the lowest you can go because my computer is weak sauce. You can also change this. You can set this to a higher, but boy, that makes it's already stressed. When I update my computer, maybe I'll try that. But for now, I'm not messing with that. So let me get out of this and get back to Steam. Where's my Steam? Alright, so then I just come in here to a library and X-Plane 11, play, and launch in VR mode. Now when this loads, I will resize that window. So I'll be back in a second. I will edit this out. Okay, so let me resize this real quick. Open that up some. And I can open this up some. And I think I can even open this up. Oh no, I can't. Okay, that's the full width. So I can make this just a touch bigger. And I'll move it over here. So I'm not blocking it with the other. So that's basically the view that I have inside the headset. So let me jump into my VR. You'll see if I move this around now. And this is saying currently I'm getting 36 frames a second. Now granted, oh God, I almost sat on the deal. That's something I wasn't looking forward to. Let me see. Alright, so let me go into, sometimes it's a little choppy when I first get in here. I have been flying the Baron, and I gotta write this down, KJCT, because that's my continuation flights that I'm going to want to pick up on later. Put the pen up here. And I want to finish that later. KJ. Oh, this pen doesn't want to write. How convenient. KJ. This thing doesn't want to write at all. Alright, well, I guess I'll have to watch this video to remember what I was doing. KJTC, Kimball Airport. I am going to change that. I'm going here, and you can see I'm using the controllers for the Quest for this. It didn't take the V. I gotta double check. I can't tell. And okay, Culberson County, that's our local. Ramp start. I have match real world conditions, so it should, and tracking real world time, 7:47. It's off by an hour. I had set that to change it so it was right, but let me see. Customize. Yeah, it's supposed to go plus an hour. Why did it not? Do I got to do 2 hours? Now? It's not? Okay. And I'm going to change to the Cessna Skyhawk for this little flight, so we have a better view, and I will start the flight. So now you can see we left the hangar. We're kind of in the hangar with just Oblivion. There's a loading bar. You can see it's a little bouncy. Try to sit still. I've heard there's a way to make it a little, an add-on or something you can do to make it so it doesn't bounce around. It zeroes out your head bob stuff a little bit to try to keep it recording smoother. But we'll see. You can see my controls here. I don't know. Can't really see me, which is good. You don't want to see me. You want to see my controls. I do have rudder pedals down here. So you'll see me use those when I'm on the ground. And the screen that it's recording me, you probably could see when I do this, I'm looking outside of my headset. That's why it's looking all wacky. I have the sounds for the computer set to come through the headset. Hopefully it's recording them also. This is my first attempt at a recording. This does take a while. So it's about a 5-minute process, 5 to 10 minutes between when I come out here and start flipping switches till I'm actually seated in the aircraft. Depending on how many settings I need to change in the beginning. I have also discovered that my best bet is to get my headset up and running. And as soon as I boot up my computer, I'm already in the screen to link the AirLink on my headset. I have my headset on, my computer's booting, and I'm waiting. And then as soon as my computer shows up and I can launch AirLink, I launch it instantly. It seems like the longer my computer is running before I try to start the AirLink, sometimes it just will not connect, and I'll have to reboot the computer and try it again, or try it. I got to go into the task manager and disable all of the, or end the task on all of the Oculus stuff and restart it. Sometimes that works, but I did discover if I connect right away, as soon as the computer boots, it seems to be doing fine so far. Knock wood. Knock on my head. We're almost there. We are almost there. Yeah. Here we are. Alright, here's my ATC. Well, you can see it's choppy because it's in the beginning. It's still doing loading stuff. If I click this on the thing, I always put this down over here. And you'll notice when I'm sitting looking forward, it is crooked. So I go on the second controller and I have to sit up tall. You can't tell, but that's what I'm doing. And click the button and it will reset. And I've gotten pretty good at figuring out the controller. The yoke is about where the yoke is in my view. If I look up, I can see the bottom of my control yoke is in the same spot as this. You guys can't see it, but when I'm looking out through my nose gap. And you can see it's a little choppy still because it takes a few minutes to load. But I'm sitting on the ground here at Van Horn. And there's a couple of static aircraft out here. And what we're going to do today is we're just going to fly over, town is over that way. We're just going to fly over town and come back. I think I have the graphics setting for the ground objects at high instead of ultra, which I do that on, so especially when I'm in bigger cities. I was going to change it, but I didn't. Okay, so let's get this thing running. So first of all, oh man, I did not turn off any of these switches when I finished flying the other day. Okay, turn on the battery, turn on the beacon light. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the nav lights a while. I'm going to use this and increase the throttle a little bit. Turn on the fuel pump to prime it. Pull that, turn off the fuel pump. I'm turning on the magnetos. You can see the switch there. I'm doing the physical switch and it's turning it there, and I'm going to turn it to start and add fuel to the mixer. Alright. I'm not going to go full rich because we're at about 4,000 feet here. I pull this throttle lever back, that locks my parking brake and it stays at idle. So I'm going to do that. Turn on my alternators, and I am turning on my avionics switch. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the taxi lights, and I got to turn on the second one to turn on the other. I am not going to be using any of the GPS stuff today because I'm just going out and back. If you push the bottom button on this controller, it zooms in, but then it gets really jumpy. It's like I have to hold it still. If you do want to change any settings, you just, like here, I'll change the altimeter because I know that's wrong. I partially click and it highlights, and then if I full click, now when I twist my hand, it'll adjust it. We're at about 3,900 feet here, 3,950. So that must be what our altimeter setting is. There's no ATIS, there's no weather radio, so I can't tune that in. So I'm just going to, I don't know what happened to my, usually my thing is down here, ATC. I'm not using it anyway. So let's kill the parking brake and we'll just get on our way. The wind here is almost always coming out of the west. So I'm just going to go with that. And we're going to taxi over here using my rudder pedals to steer. In a Cessna, especially if the wind is blowing at all, a lot of times it's 20 knot winds out here. I could take this other taxiway. I could use this to point. I could use that other taxiway, and there's enough runway to take off. There you can see a windsock, so I don't know if you could see it. I kind of looked away because I'm taxiing. Right over there, there's a windsock. Part of the beauty of flying in VR that I've discovered, that I love, is you can't read that? Lean forward. You want to see over there? Lean over. You want to look down? You look down. You want to taxi off the taxiway? You can do that too. Let's come over here. Now our house would be out that way from the airport. Now in real life, and sometimes when I'm doing flights, I know it's kind of geeky, kind of nerdy, whatever you want to call it, but the way I do it is I do simulate. I'll do air traffic controller, and this is an uncontrolled airfield, so in theory I should have pretended like I keyed the mic and said something to the effect of Van Horn traffic, Cessna November 172 Sierra Papa, taxiing to runway 22 for west departure, something to that effect. I don't even know what it's runway 02, I guess is runway. And I would have all that flight. But this is just a fun little flight. Let's see if I can even get this recording. I don't know what the recording is looking like. Hopefully it didn't. Sometimes it pulls this GPS. Sometimes it'll pull that up on that screen and I can't see it. So hopefully it's not blocking a bunch of that. plenty of, oh, I almost dropped the controller off my lap. I got plenty of runway. I'm not going to use flaps for this takeoff. I am just going to get going. I'm going to leave the mixture a little lean, again, because of the altitude. Let me see, my trim, and let's kick this pig. Now this is running on an AMD Phenom II processor chip, an NVIDIA 2060, and I'm actually kind of thrilled. I'm going to go ahead and rotate up at 70 knots. I'm in the air. I'm not going to need any rudder at this point. I'm going to trim down. I'm only going to climb up a little ways. Let's go over this way. The highway is right over here, Interstate 10. You can see some vehicles on it. That we drive to work every day. Oh, look, here comes a train. Down a little bit, climb a little higher. There's the big city of Van Horn. Now you'll see, because I don't, this isn't Microsoft 2020. So some of these, this is satellite image. So those buildings are not being rendered in 3D. Look at us climbing like a mofo. And I can't see these controls, so I'm kind of fumbling around for them. I'm going to pull some power down here. We're dropping down to about 2200 RPM. While we fly around town. So if I put it on extreme, the scenery objects, all these 3D buildings would fill in a lot more, but then my frame rates drop too much. One thing with that, some of those settings I was showing you in that tray tool, if I didn't set that to 45 at ASW, when I went from looking forward to looking sideways, the whole thing, there's the football field at the high school, baseball field, one's looking like pretty ratty. It would get super choppy. That ASW, turning that off and setting it to 45, fixed that. The super sampling made it to where I can read the gauges while I'm sitting here. I know you can't see me, but I sit kind of leaning forward anyway. But then when I'm cruising, I will sit back. Oh, see that? That little choppy bit there? That's what it used to do all the time. I do sit back like this for when I'm just cruising. Alright, so see, they're not. Wow, that was bad. And I don't know if it's pausing more now because I'm recording. But that usually clears up. Here we go, we're crossing the 10. Let me I don't know where that guy's going. That access road doesn't really go anywhere. Yank this around. I'm bleeding off a lot of speed because I got the throttle pulled back, but I'm not paying attention to my gauges. I'm kind of sight flying here. Okay, let's level off. Alright, so right up here, that big thing over there, that's the red roof inn. You can tell by the red roof. The grocery store is right across the road, that other building there. We work at the Holiday Inn, which is this non-rendered building right there. That's the Holiday Inn. You can see the pool in the back, and now they're building another hotel right next to it. There is a park out here. Let's see if this park, I'm not sure where that park is. I know you cross under the highway and it's back over here somewhere. Oh, maybe this is it over here. Boy, it was looking bad when they took the satellite. You can see there's a ball field. some buildings that are not 3D rendered. And then it randomly puts stuff in 3D. This is the big city of Van Horn. And that other pause, I was thinking, that also could be just the computer was still loading stuff. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like I have stuff that'll do that. Now that road out there with all the trees going, that will take you out. Well, if you go far enough, it'll take you to Carlsbad, where the Carlsbad Caverns are. There was another little hiccup. I don't know what that is. And that's where Shelby goes out to Blue Origin every day. And she works. This is a giant RV park on the way out of town. And this little field over here is now an express field. Cheapest gas in town. Little fun fact for Van Horn. If you are on the west side of town, there is a Chevron station. So you can even see the signs on the highway. There's a Chevron station, and it is $1.05 more for gas at that Chevron station than it is on the east side of town. Right. We're going to follow the highway down here. This is how Kelly and I go to work every day. We take the interstate. Back to the interstate, then stole. If you know that reference, go ahead and leave a comment in the description. Or not in the description, you can't do that. In the comments, leave me a comment that says you know what that. Back to the interstate, then stole. I'll give you a hint. The actor who played that part was the mayor in the town, and he also played. What was his name? Major Winchester on MASH. And he played the mayor in this movie that I am referring to. So you come up here, let's see. I gotta come up here anyway for our landing. But what I'm gonna show you here is there should be I haven't fully looked at this. This is based on Bing Maps. I downloaded the scenery off of Bing and converted it to working here. There should be a rest stop right here. Yeah, there it is. There's a rest area. Of course, none of it's 3D model. They're currently building a new rest area just to the east of here, which probably won't show up on these satellite images. And this little pull off on the other side of the road is an old way station. It used to be a truckers would have to check in, and in the mornings they are packed, just completely packed with semis that are sleeping. You just pull in there and park. In the state of Texas, anywhere you can safely park off the side of the road is okay for overnight parking. They believe in safety. This exit right here is where we get off to go home. We had a train. There's another train right there passing our road. So we get off the highway here. We pass under the highway and go to the other side. Take the access road. We have to go about 1 mile. That little turnaround spot is still closed because they have this road closed while they're building the new rest area. So we take this and then we go out here and we get on this road up here, which in Flight Sim or FSX 11 and with this stuff, it's modeled as paved, and boy do I wish that was the case, because it's not. So we come over here, we turn left right here. We're going to do hazard this and jump right over this train, which I don't recommend. I don't usually do it in the car. And that train does look like it's an Amtrak. Front end of that. Amtrak doesn't go on this line. There's our shadow. Our shadow's crossing the train. That road does not really exist. That road that's going off at an angle that car was driving on, that does not exist. It's just a dirt path. But you come out here. Boy, I'm doxing myself. Yeah. And then we live out there in the desert. But let's go ahead and turn. Look at that sunlight coming in. One thing, the shadows are really jaggedy on the interior of the plane. But whatever, it looks cool. Lose a bunch of altitude. We don't want to land quite yet. We pull up a little. This road out here that we're about to cross does exist. That dark patch over there is actually a tree farm. They grow nuts out of it, almonds. I'm having a brain fart moment. I'm like, is it walnuts? Is it almonds? I'm almost 99% sure it's almonds. It's an almond farm. But we can take that road the back way, which we've had to do because a train is parked across the highway, or across our dirt road. But yeah, you take this road where that car is going, and it actually drives you right past the airport. So that's modeled pretty well. One thing I'll show you real quick while I'm coming to land. On there, you got the radios, and I can use this radio panel. And you see the bottom number that's highlighted, 12695. If I turn this, those numbers change. They're changing on here, and they're changing in the sim. And then I can push this button to switch between the two frequencies and make one. Alright, I got this bottom switch set over here to deploy flaps. I'm going to go ahead and give this one notch of flaps. Correct for the big old ballooning effect we got. And give her some throttle. Go ahead and give the last notch of flaps, give her some nose down, trim again, give her some more throttle, a little slow, I want to be around 70. That's fine, that'll work. Now we're coming into the big peak airport. We're going to set this over here, and you can see the other controller floating there because I made it active. But it's most of the time it's behind it. But you can see our flaps are down now. If I turn, you can see the aileron deflect over there, so that's pretty cool. All that stuff's modeled. There you go. You can see the approach lights coming up. I am too low. Big surprise, big surprise. That guy's driving on a road to nowhere. He's on the road to nowhere. That road doesn't exist. And that car just vanished. Hopefully I'm not moving my camera too much. Yeah, look at there, doing that choppy thing. It used to do that every single time I looked in any direction. Alright, now put my foot back up on the rudder pedals. It's a little choppy. That could also be because it's loading in some of the airport somewhere. A little bit of throttle. This road is the one that does exist. I ran over a rattlesnake on that road one day. And like I said, normally I'd say Van Horn traffic, Cessna, November 172 Sierra Papa, coming in to land on final, runway 2. Full stop landing. Winds must be fairly calm. This thing's flying pretty good. Got a good approach going. I'm a little slower than about 62, 63 knots. Now you can see the first light is white, back when it's red. That means I am on my proper clock now. We'll start pulling some throttle. Use the trim to balance her out. The rudder pedals also have toe brakes, and it's directional, so if I just do the right one or the left one, it will twist me. Let me turn off the strobes and stuff because I didn't need them. That's what happens when we're just doing an impromptu flight. We did the big live show last night, and I had to carry all this stuff inside, so I was trying to set everything up in here to record again. And Van Horn traffic. Cessna November 172 Sierra Papa is cleared the runway. And we'll go over here and park again. We'll take the back road. Yeah, sometimes having these static aircraft cause little. I'm hoping all that will fix itself when I get my new motherboard and stuff. And I can smooth this simulator out. But doing this is the reason why I got VR in the first place. I wanted to do Flight Simulator in VR, and it is pretty cool. There are some really neat areas on the way to El Paso where there are just these little ridges and valleys and stuff like that, and they look so cool from the air. I'll generally fly. Parking brake is set. I'll generally fly about between 7,000 and 9,000 feet on my way over there. Turning off the taxi lights. I'm going to turn off the nav lights. I'm going to go ahead and kill the avionics. Turn off the generator, and I'm going to pull fuel until the motor stops. Turn off the beacon light. Some people leave the beacon light on in real life because that way when they're walking away from the plane, they'll know if they left the battery turned off. And I killed the magnetos. I didn't do any of the pre-flight run-ups or any of that stuff because I was trying to keep the videos short. But yeah, 9,000 feet looks really good when I'm flying to El Paso. But yeah, you can see everything set. I used the controller for almost everything in this thing. I think I can open the door. Oh, there you go. So, alright. So let's get out of this plane. So that's that. It works pretty well. And I'm hoping it'll work a little bit better. To exit, I push the upper button and then go up there to flight configuration. And yeah, in here I could show you my settings for graphics. Yeah, number of world objects. I have it in high. Anti-aliasing I have pretty low. I'm using the Vulkan drivers. And I have reflection detail all the way down, which almost everybody does that. They turn that all down. No matter what, they're running 4090s, they turn that down. So I'm almost, I'm on high on most things. So I'm hoping with the faster CPU and more RAM, I'll be able to crank these up also. And right now I'm not running with any AI aircraft. That does kill my frames. So I don't do any of that. So I come back here, go into main menu, and quit X-Plane. So thanks for watching. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to post this to public. Maybe I did. If you watched it and you're not one of my close friends, then I did. If not, then thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk in the chat. Everyone else, thanks for watching. Leave comments. Let me know what you thought. Go easy on me for my ancient computer. And don't brag on me too much for my bad. God, I got a hair. Freaking, that's what happens when you have dogs. Alright, thanks for watching. Peace.